good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what part of the day you're watching this new episode of Data-Driven Formula One. My name is Patrick Henz, and today we try to find an answer to the question, who is the greatest Formula One driver of all time? Or in other words, who is the GOAT, the greatest of all time? It's not the first time we are raising this question. We did this already in an earlier episode where we asked the AI system Claude, the large language model, who is a sponsor of the Williams Formula One team. Today we have the same question and we are asking Perplexity. Perplexity is a personal sponsor of Lewis Hamilton. So it will be interesting to see what is similar, what is answered completely different. And I can already tell you, yeah, the answers are not the same. And we will ask ourselves, why is this the case? Okay, so welcome to the GOAT Index Part 2, Perplexity. Perplexity is the personal sponsor of Lewis Hamilton since the 2025 season. So they are already now partnered for 2 years. Based on the press release, Perplexity is trusted by millions to transform question into momentum. We believe that knowledge isn't just about finding answers, but about fueling discovery and action. Whether it's split-second decision-making at 360 kph or instant access to trusted knowledge, it's important to move fast without sacrificing accuracy. Lewis Hamilton embodies this philosophy: speed with understanding, precision in motion, curiosity as a driving force. So this is Perplexity's press release. And to be transparent, I'm also using Perplexity. I'm using various large language models, depending a little bit on what I'm working on. It's just day by day information. Is it that I want to change texts to make them more elegant for emails, management presentations, articles, etc.? Or I am conducting an in-depth investigation about a topic, let's say like an article or management information. For the last, I like to use Perplexity because it answers the question, and for each part it gives you one or various links, so you can and you should check the original source if this is something what you like to consider for your answer, yes or no. This is important because all kind of large language models, including Perplexity, still may include hallucinations, so you always have to check your original source. Besides this, I think Lewis Hamilton is a good driver to be sponsored by Perplexity because besides his racing skills, experience in Formula One, he is also active outside the track in various social projects. He's active related music, fashion. He had been producer of the Apple Formula One movie. So I think speed with understanding, precision in motion, curiosity as a driving force. I think these are descriptions which apply for Lewis Hamilton. So I personally think this is a partnership which makes sense. I will show you the original prompt. I used them for Claude and for Perplexity. So it's the same prompt which I used the same day for both large language models. I asked first to create an index, and based on this index, give me the top 10. So let's start with the GOAT index according to Perplexity. 30% due to Perplexity is related to peak dominance. The win rate peak 3 to 5 year window adjusted for season length and field size, because this completely changed from the 1950s to today. Champ win density titles per season in true front running machinery. 25% is career achievement. Total titles adjusted for number of races, seasons, and points structure. Approximately points with modern 25, 18, 15 system. This is important because in the beginning of the 1950s, and this has changed various times over the time, the scorer system completely changed. And if you want to compare it, you must use the same system for all championship seasons. Longevity in front running performance, years between first and last title caliber season. Qualifying and speed 15%. Poles per start, especially important as qualifying is a strong predictor for race potential in all eras. Intra-team pace versus elite team mates, also an important point because the first you have to beat is your teammate, and here, of course, it matters if it's a really experienced, very fast driver or maybe a paid driver which is not on the same level than the number one driver. 15% relates to adaptability and error spread, proving winning across different regulation errors like refueling versus no refueling, ground effect cars versus non-ground effect, tire wars, turbo/hybrid, etc., etc. So Formula One was never the same, meaning Formula One in 1980 had been a complete different sport than like in the year 2000. Success with more than one team at the very top level, also a relevant factor here. 15% context, opposition, machinery, risk, and culture. Strength of opposition, number of championship level contemporaries beaten, technical or strategic influence, and versatility. This includes, for example, car development, racecraft in changing condition, etc. And also mentioned here the safety context. And here drivers from the 1950s to 70s are given some credit for higher fatality risk and primary safety. So within each era, rough cards, 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s, 2020s, perplexity first rank and scale the drivers, then rescale so that the best of each era can in principle score similarly. This aims to avoid more races, more stats, biases, as again, the 1952 season included much less races than now the 2023 reason, for example. So this is the index which Perplexity has created to find an answer to the question, who is the greatest of all time? Before we start with the top 10, we like to honorably mention the drivers who had been strong but didn't make it in the top 10. Here we have Sebastian Vettel, 4 titles, 53 wins, but a relatively short peak and weaker second half of career and top machinery keep his index just below Alonso's. Nelson Piquet, 3 titles across very different car types and tires, strong adaptability but lower peak win rate. Nigel Mansell, 1 championship, 31 victories, phenomenal peak speed but shorter top level window. And Sterling Moss, never champion, but with a huge win rate and multidiscipline success, loses out in this index mainly on a title component. If you are more interested in these drivers, Piquet, Mansell, Moss, we already did special episodes about them. Vettel, as he's a more modern driver, we didn't include in a special episode yet, but of course, he is one big name which deserves to be discussed also in his own episode. Okay, but really let's start. Top 10, already mentioned, Fernando Alonso, active from 2000 to today with a short break. So far, 2 titles, 32 wins, and more than 400 race starts, giving him one of the longest frontline careers ever, with wins and podiums across the V10, V8, and hybrid era. He beat Primer Schumacher in his prime time in English machinery in the mid-2000s, has beaten competitive with other drivers, including Hamilton, Verstappen, and is famed for racecraft and adaptability to different cars and teams. Renault, Ferrari, Alpine, Aston Martin. Yeah, this is true, but also, I mean, he caused some problems, and that's why he left quite soon some of these teams. Index view, perhaps the strongest adaptability and longevity profile in history with slightly lower peak dominance and title count. The index places him just above Vettel, Piquet, and others because of his multi-era competitiveness and level of opposition. Sometimes you may think that in the past everything was better, but we will see here a number of the top 10 drivers is still active today, 2026. So we are living in a quite good time. And important for the drivers still active, of course, they have the opportunity to rise or still lose some positions in the greatest of all time top 10. So this Fernando Alonso, position number 10. Number 9, Jackie Stewart, active from 65 to 73. He has 7 World Championship titles, 27 victories from only 99 starts, giving him a win rate over 27% in the late 60s and early 70s. A dominant force for Matra and Tyrrell, and a crucial advocate for drivers' safety, pushing major reforms that changed the culture of risk in Formula One. Here the index view. Excellent peak dominance and context safety components with shorter career length and fewer titles than the absolute top tier. This also because he have been strongly impacted by the fatal accident of his teammate, and that's why he retired early and after this became advocate for safety in motorsports. His impact on this safety and professionalism is a significant qualitative boost in a cross-era ranking. So number 9, Jackie Stewart. Number 8, Niki Lauda. Similar area, a little bit later, 1971 to 1985, also here with a break in between. 3 titles, 25 wins from 171 starts, winning championships with both Ferrari and McLaren across different technical areas, one mid-70s and the last mid-80s. Revered for his analytical approach, development skill, and resilience, including his 1976 comeback after a near-fatal Nürburgring accident. Index view high adaptability and contact scores, very strong opposition beaten, like Hunt, Prost, and others, and strong development influence. Peak dominance is lower than the top 5, but total package and multi-era success put him ahead of many champions with more victories. With this, come to number 7, and here we see Max Verstappen 2015 to today. So far, 4 titles, 21 to 24, 65 victories, status 2026, and 43 poles from 218 starts as early 2026. With some of the most dominant single seasons on record, especially we are talking about 2022 and the 23 season. Exceptional qualifying and race pace consistency with high win podium conversion in an era of very long calendars and heavy strategic complexity. He has also demonstrated strong wet weather and wheel-to-wheel skills. Index view is peak dominance score for 2023 and earlier 2022 is comparable to Michael Schumacher's best season once adjusted for field and race count. Career and adaptability components are naturally limited by being mid-career, so he sits 7th with room to climb or to fall, of course. So, for example, one which maybe still limits him to the real top drivers, he only have been dominant in the Red Bull. So far, he never changed the team, and like, for example, Michael Schumacher did and others. Number 6, Alain Prost, the professor, 1980 to 1993, 4 titles, 51 victories from 199 starts, known for exceptional racecraft, tire and fuel management, and strategic intelligence, earning him the mentioned nickname, the professor. Won titles with 2 teams, McLaren and Williams, went head-to-head with Senna and Lauda, and was consistently a championship factor across the turbo and early normally aspired eras. Here the index view, very strong career and adaptability scores, slightly lower pure speed qualifying matrix than Senna, but higher title count and consistency. Overall index has him just below Senna on peak, but above nearly everyone else on completeness. These are the places 10 to 6. Now we are entering the top 5, and the same as it was valid with the index created by Claude. the drivers 1 to 5, all of them you may discuss as the greatest of all time, but based on perplexity, on number 5 is, and this may be a little bit a surprise, Ayrton Senna. 1984 to 94 active, 3 titles, 41 wins, 65 poles from 161 starts. For years, he held the all-time pole record and remains a benchmark in qualifying pace, especially at street and rain circuits. Beat or matched multiple elite contemporaries, Prost, Mansell, Piquet, and was central to the McLaren Honda Turbo 2 Admiral period. This in 94 cut short a likely even greater record. Index view, extraordinary high-speed qualifying component, strong peak dominance in the late 80s, early 90s, but fewer titles and somewhat uneven late career years keep him fractionally behind Clark in an era-adjusted calculation. So this is Ayrton Senna on position number 5 based on perplexity. Then we come to the mentioned Jim Clark, active from 1960 to 68. 25 victories and 2 titles from only 72 starts, giving him a win rate around 35% with Lotus in the 1960s. Frequently dominant in qualifying and races, while also racing in multiple disciplines, including Indy 500 winners, sports cars, etc., during a time of extremely poor safety, and due to this, he also died in a fatal accident. Index view, one of the highest peak dominance scores. In some seasons, he won around half the races he entered, slightly limited by shorter career and fewer titles than, for example, Fangio, Hamilton, or Schumacher. But era context and versatility push him very high. So this is Jim Clark, position number 4. 3, Michael Schumacher, active 91 to 2012, also here with a break. 7 titles, 91 wins, and 68 poles across 308 starts, plus 77 fastest lap with a historical dominant spell at Ferrari, 5 straight titles from 2000 to 2004. And this not only as a driver, but of course he was also a driving force in developing the car. Transformed Benetton and then Ferrari into title-winning machines, famed for relentless work ethic, car development input, and race pace consistency. Index view, peak Ferrari years produce one of the highest dominance scores ever. Huge margin over teammates, win podium rate per season. But adaptability is a touch lower than Hamilton's. He did not win titles across as many distant regulatory frameworks. Was also is not only related to him, but also as in the time he was active, there hadn't been so many changes, of course. With this, number 2, Lewis Hamilton, 2007, and still active, holds or shares most major career records, 7 titles, 105 victories, 104 poles, which also relates because now season is much longer than in the beginning of Formula One, and nearly 5,000 career points across 365 starts. Demonstrated adaptability across radically different technical eras, V8s with refueling ban, early hybrid turbo, multiple tire suppliers, and the Pirelli eras. And of course, he has somehow a comeback in the 2026 season with the stronger hybrid cars. And won with 2 teams, McLaren, Mercedes, and now extending career with Ferrari. Index view, highest career achievement score, highest qualifying component, very high adaptability and error spread. Slightly lower peak win rate than Fangio, 30% versus 47, is the only factor keeping him from a clear number 1. As he's already mentioned, no surprise, whom perplexity sees as the greatest of all time. Juan Manuel Fangio, 1950 to 1958. Only 5 years, but you have to consider here that Fangio was relatively old already. Well, not old, but he was not a young rookie when he entered Formula One in 1950. Peak dominance and efficiency are unmatched. 5 titles in 7 full seasons, 51 starts, 24 victories, so a win rate of 47%. Also, as he was very good in decision making, meaning he always changed to the team which has had the strongest car. This was another of his qualities. And 29 poles in an era with tiny calendars. He won titles with 4 different teams, as I said, very good in making decision when to change a team, starting Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Mercedes, and Ferrari, often joining struggling outfits and transforming them. Yeah, here you may have a little bit a different opinion, but that's what Perplexity is saying. In a period of extreme mechanical unreliability and fatality risk, which is of course true. While he edges the index at peak, era normalized, his win rate and his title density are so extreme that even Hamilton Schumacher cannot quite match his percentage dominance once we account for a far shorter season and higher randomness. Okay, this is the top 10 as identified by Perplexity. Here you see also the numbers which Perplexity gave me. Important, and this is also true from the results by Claude. I received these numbers from the AI model. I didn't have access to the database which both large language models used. If you consider indexes for a more serious reason than just doing a podcast, of course, you always have to check the original source. You have to check the data itself and to see if you, as the data expert, interpret the data the same as the large language model. Anyway, so here you see the numbers due to Perplexity, peak dominance, Fanjo, 100. Regarding career achievement, 2 times 100 for Lewis Hamilton, career achievement and speed qualifying. Adaptability regarding era, here Alonso with the perfect number, the 100. Context risk, Fanjo, also depending the time when he was active. And this gives, for example, Fanjo an average of 92, and the number 10, Fernando Alonso, has an average of 83. If you have not done so yet, I invite you to check out also our episode about Claude. For both large language models, I used the same prompt and I used it at the same time. So the prompt, you are a Formula One expert and want to solve the question, who is the best Formula One driver of all times? You consider that regulations, including lengths of races and technology, completely changed from 1947, where we had the first race under Formula One regulations, to today. So that the sport became completely different. Also, safety and cultural changes should be considered. Create an index considering all relevant factors and create a top 10 of the best Formula One drivers of all times. So this is the prompt I gave the large language model. As you see, I already defined a little bit how I understand the GOAT index has to be. So yes, I influenced already the decision with my prompt. This based of my, let's say, being a relative expert on Formula One, as we're doing this episode starting with the 47th season. Maybe if I not gave this definition, what I think has to be important, the result would have been different. So that's why we mentioned also in other indexes, other experts may come to different results. So practically all top 5 drivers I saw in different indexes as mentioned as number 1. So as Formula One today is something different than in 1980s, 1960s, etc. It's a nice topic to discuss, but we never all will agree who is the greatest of all time, because for all of us, Formula One can mean something different. And that's also, I mean, nice because it's a sport and we like to discuss. We want to discuss different opinions, etc., etc. Here again, a comparison, the results perplexity versus Claude. Interestingly, number 10 drivers are different. For example, Perplexity sees Fernando Alonso as the number 10, while Claude not considers Alonso being inside the top 10. And or the other way around, Claude sees Sterling Moss as the number 7, sorry, as the number 10, and which is not considered Perplexity to be in the top 10. And this is one interesting point. We are using the same definition but the result based on different algorithms and also maybe different databases used by the two language models come to different conclusions. Jackie Stewart, both see him on number 9. And the next one, Max Verstappen, Niki Lauda, here we only see a difference of one position. Again, Alan Prost seen as the number 6 by both models. What is completely different in Perplexity and Claude is the position of Ayrton Senna. Perplexity only considers him as the number 5, while Claude uh, says he is the number 1. So here we have a big gap, and that's why if you want to find an answer to an important topic, again, always consider the sources used by the large language models. And also, you may want to use different models if possible. And because at the end, if you want to present a topic to the public, to your management, you are responsible and you cannot shift responsibility to a large language models because it is just a tool at the end. It is statistics. Number 4, Jim Clark at Perplexity. Number 5 at Claude. So also here pretty much aligned. Same is valid for Michael Schumacher. Perplexity sees Schumacher on 3rd, Claude on the 2. Lewis Hamilton, here we have a little bit a higher gap. Perplexity number 2, Claude only on number 4. Of course, you may say now, yes, Perplexity is main sponsor of Lewis Hamilton, maybe a conflict of interest. I mean, again, a large language model is something like applied statistics. I don't think that they programmed their algorithms to favor Lewis Hamilton. So I think it's just based on different data use, different algorithms, but I don't think that they actively changed here the results. Number 1, Juan Manuel Fancho at Perplexity, and I remember also other earlier indexes always, not always, but sometimes saw him as the number 1, while Claude only see Fancho on number 3. So this is the direct comparison between these two models. I'm sure if we would ask other large language models as ChatGPT, as Mistral, as Google's Gemini, we would get different top 10s and also different systematic for the index. But again, Formula One today is something different than in the years before. So at the end, important is what Formula One means for us, how we perceive Formula One, what we think is Formula One. Is it today's racing? Is it maybe even tomorrow's racing? Maybe we are imagining Formula One like all electric in 10 years, and this is Formula One for us, or is it really, or Formula One for us is 1950, where everything begins, and depending what Formula One is for us, influences, of course, the creation of the index and the data we use, the data we consider. So again, it is an interesting thought experiment asking AI who's the best of all time, but at the end, it is up to ourselves who we think is the number one. And that's all for today, folks. If you like this episode, please like it wherever you are, YouTube Music, Spotify with the video episodes, or on your favorite podcast catcher. If you are into music, check out Spotify and the Data-Driven F1 mixtape. Here you find songs directly inspired by Formula One, by drivers, by the sports in general. So you may like it. But really, that's all. Thanks a lot and see you next time. Bye bye.